G'day, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, chairman of the VRC, distinguished guests, and the people from NRL land. You know who it is. It's Peps, it's J-Dog. We're here. It's round 10, lace-out style with the two superstars. You know me, Chris Pepper, the 377-game superstar of the East Keilor Football Club, the co-host with the most. The J-Dog, Jamie Wallace, is back again. Another massive round 10. Looks like he survived Divorce Gate, a.k.a. the Port Adelaide Collingwood game. So much to talk about. We're getting straight into it. How you going, buddy? Tell me about the round of footy, and then we're going to get into the news of the week. So much to talk about. Let's just get this bad boy going.
As always, Peps, hello to you and hello to our listeners and watchers and other weirdos that are associated to the Lace Out podcast. It's good to have you joining us on this Tuesday night.
And look, we are a community of weirdos, but we're weirdos in the fact that we love our footy and we love our clubs and we love this podcast. It's
what a weekend of football, Peps. What a weekend of football. I mean, absolutely. I loved it. I was tight. I was tense. I was relaxed. I was laughing. It was like a well-constructed Italian orchestra. No, not orchestra. Opera. It had it all.
Okay. Fantastic.
It had it all, Pips.
It did have it all. And you know what had it all as well? So many games over the weekend. We'll have a chat about my team. We'll have a chat about your team. We'll have a chat about lots of teams. But as JB mentioned, thank you for everybody joining us today again on the podcast. You're listening live by delay through your headphones or through your car speaker. Two lace out. And everybody watching us live, cannot thank you enough. We do it for you guys because you love your footy, lace out, just like us as well. It was a bumper weekend of footy, some blowouts, some close games. Finally, every team's been beaten. So we're happy to talk
the circle's
about that.
Complete.
The circle is now complete. Simba can now go free. And it's good. It's good to feel what everybody else is feeling at the moment, even though it was 1 point. But as we're going live tonight, we're going to have the magnets will be spun again. The news hound's back. J-Dog's here. Lots to get through. Game of the week. Got a bit of splash the cash. I'm also going to give you a little bit of the news updates when it comes to the tribunal as well. So let's go with the J-Dog. Where do you want to start? Because I think it's just a matter of going around the grounds, mate. News of the week.
Well, Peps, let's just knock over some of the tribunal is in for a hell of a night tonight. So what we're going to do is just quickly talk about what we know so far with tribunal results so far. And as the show moves on through the hour, hopefully, fingers crossed, we may actually have some more news. So just to kick it all off, tonight began with the Lockie Plowman case, who failed to overturn his 2-game charge for rough conduct against Jaeger O'Meara of Hawthorn. At the moment, it's Marlon Pickett is challenging his 1-game ban for striking Brisbane's Brendan Starcevich. So that's the next one we're waiting on. And then the big one, if we're counting down like it's a prize fight, Peps, this is the big one. This is the one that's going to have our AFL fans up in arms. It has caused radio meltdowns, TV meltdowns, a 10-minute segment on Fox Footy last night on the couch, and it's around Nick Holman. And we will talk about that hopefully as this show is on, and we can discuss that because I don't want to burn our powder too quickly on this one here, Peps. How do you feel?
I thought you were going to say something else. Sorry, look, we're not going to go early with that, J-Dog. Let's call it for how it is. Plowman's stiff. In my humble opinion, he was stiff. It was body contact. It was late.
Rough conduct is a bullshit charge. Bullshit.
It's bullshit, mate. It's bullshit. We need a soundbite of a bullshit because that was bullshit. He's got 2 weeks for that. Not even downgraded to 1. That really annoys me more than anything, I think, J-Dog. But the other thing is that, Pickett's up as well too. He got what? Did he get a week for his?
A week.
So he can smack a guy, get a week. The other guy braces and bumps, and it's 2 weeks. There's just no consistency. And the fact that this has gone to the MRO again is a farce. They wanted to get rid of the MRO, or they wanted to bring the MRO in to reduce this whole tribunal system. But now they're going back to it because they've put themselves into a position with this categorisation of incidents that it just doesn't fit, and you've got to go to the tribunal anyway.
Peps, we should have a third show in our lineup just called, let's call it Wacky Wednesday. Just have all the tribunal news and all the weekend's umpiring results.
And you know what? I've got the perfect theme song for it. You ready? It can only be one song, can't it? It's got to be this playing in the background. You've got to have a bit of Benny Hill talking about the Wacky Wednesday. Yeah. Or you could just put this and put the St Kilda football team over it. And that'd be just as funny as well, too, to all the St Kilda supporters out there. We're getting onto your team very, very shortly. But,
all right,
yeah, it's Peps, a fast. So hopefully something comes in, and Holman is going to be the big one. Holman, we could blow up this podcast. We might self-combust if it doesn't go the way it should get. So,
all right, because we are a show for the people. John Michael, Pickett's wasn't a nightclub. Play on. Nick Soros, very good. AFL is for the tip, all about local footy. AFL is a business, not a sport. That's one of Pep's favourite subjects, talking about local football and AFL.
I love Milne. Great work, Milne. He's a superstar. I played footy with Milne. He'll tell you how good I was.
Joel M. Too busy determining outcomes impacts, not on the act itself. Mitch Duncan should get 12 weeks for endangering Holman's ACL by being slow and uncoordinated. Jaeger O'Meara should get 2 weeks for being a bedwetting sook. Oh, God. Our listeners are already in.
St Kilda at the moment. That's actually quite a fair point.
All right,
had a casual 150 win on the weekend. The boys from Cougarland.
Let's spin the magnets.
We're going early on the magnets.
May as well.
We are going, oh, geez, mate. We're going early on the magnets. All right, buddy. Well, obviously you've gone early, so where are we starting, mate? Who's getting dragged, or are we giving the votes away first and foremost?
Let's go the drags.
Oh, we haven't had the drag for a while. Well, Ron, are you there? Ron, are you there? Oh, it just gets better. Hey, guess what? It's back. Shit Kilda are back. Officially, Tommy Roker on the chat has called Shit Kilda being back. And we'll get on to them in a moment, all right? But, all right, buddy, who's getting dragged? Go for it. You start, then I'll flip over, and then we'll go from there. All right.
Absolutely. We'll take turns, pounding in the 1s and 2s and 3s.
It's just like cricket.
Number one, for me, West Coast. The epitome of a flat track bully. Look up the word in the dictionary and you're going to see the West Coast Football Club there. Cannot win away, can dominate at home. So, Peps, I'm not getting sucked into that hype right now. They may look like premiership winners on their own home deck, but away from home, they look terrible.
Average. All righty. My one vote goes to the MRO. I think I'm going to get that one out nice and quickly. It was going to be 2. Well, we've already spoken about them. Just the decisions that were made on the weekend just boggle the mind, especially the Holman one. Like, if that is what the game is coming to now, getting weeks for a tackle, which you would put up in front of any child learning the tackle, this is textbook. That's the one that they put up in the review and go, Holmy, fantastic stuff, mate. That's what we're all about. We need more of it. And he gets 2 weeks. It's a farce. Chriso, I don't know what you were doing there, mate. You've got that one completely wrong. And fingers crossed, the tribunal do the right thing by football, not just for Mr. Holman, not for the game, but for the people, that he does the right thing and he gets off, because he did absolutely nothing wrong.
All right. My number 2 is the Jack Watt story. Can the media stop putting photos of Jack Watts in his Port Adelaide gear, please? He's learnt that grubness from Melbourne. He played for Melbourne for 8 years. Please don't put that on us. Please put that on the Melbourne Football Club and show photos of him in his Melbourne football jumper. Because the Jack Watts story was a bit of a beat-up. At the start of the day, he was a warrant was issued for his arrest because he didn't show up at court. Then later in the day, his lawyer contacted and said, hey, whoa, what's going on here? Jack Watts is clear. He's contacted the police station. It's all clear. What's happening here? So, Jack Watts' story, beat up. Don't appreciate seeing the Port Adelaide name getting dragged down through the Melbourne mud.
Well, I might just follow on with it. I think it's a disgrace that the Melbourne name is dragged through the mud. It should be Brighton Grammar. That's where he learned to play That's where he learned the craft of hard football, and that's where it should be. So I don't think he should be related to either of the clubs. I reckon Brighton Grammar, that school where the hoity-toities on the other side of the world go to, that's where it should be dragged down. I don't think it has.
So we're both
anything
washing
to
our
do with the
hands.
AFL
We're
club.
both washing our hands of Jack Watts.
No, I still love to have a chat to the bloke because I reckon he's a bit of a gun, to be honest.
He'd be fun.
All right, now my two votes. I have to say, it has
Yes.
to go to the umpires on the weekend in the Melbourne Adelaide game. I know there's been a lot of talk being over what happened at the end of the game with the handball not being called deliberate at the end, which, let's be honest, it was. That's not the one that frustrated me the most. The one that frustrated me more was around about a minute earlier. Ben Keys picks the ball up, takes 5 steps, gets tackled by the big fella. I've gone blank, and Petrarca as well. And ball spills out, nothing happens, and ball gets picked up by Tex. Bang. That should have been the one that should have been called. That would have put everything in, because that was the one Melbourne were actually in control of, not the other one. So that was the one that was more frustrating for me. The other one was just lucky that happened. Okay, but when Petty laid that tackle on Keys, that was dropping the ball. You can't take 5 steps, run into a tackle, spill it out like you've dropped a kebab at 3 a.m. in the morning after a big night on the Terps. It's too bad. That was the one that frustrated me. So they're just the mistakes. I know there's lots of mistakes that happen, but when there's something so blatantly wrong, that's the one that frustrates me more than anything, J-Dog. So they're just getting two, not for the late one, but for the one that was probably more in play at the time.
Yep. Okay, very good. Number 3 for my drag, or my Ronnie, is Collingwood Supporters. I was at the game on Sunday. Beautiful conditions for football. Glorious day. It was so warm. Time slot was a 3:20 start, so not the best, but also it was a glorious Sunday afternoon. 23,000 supporters. We're talking about a membership base here of over 60 and only 23,000 supporters for that game.
I know why.
Why's that?
Because you can't let your pets in.
I tell you what though, Peps, if that game was played, if that wasn't a Port Adelaide crowd or an Adelaide crowd and we only had 23,000 people turn up, there would be all over the Victorian media stories about how pitiful and how pathetic our football lovers are. Well, Collingwood supporters right now, pitiful and pathetic. 23,000. I can probably say in there's probably 1,000 or so Port Adelaide supporters to a Melbourne game. So 22 of your 60,000 plus membership throng coming to the game on a Sunday. That's pretty piss poor. We're only 10 rounds in.
It was a beautiful weekend. What was on? There was no festivals on. Okay, it wasn't. Joffa wasn't there, and he's got his own issues. Maybe they were all visiting. Maybe they were all having visitation rights for Joffa. Maybe I don't know.
Who knows? But 22,000 there, 23,000 there. Terrible Melbourne. I mean, terrible Collingwood. Support your team better.
No. Look, I think that one thing I have learnt, though, over the last couple of weeks, especially in the last week, is that apparently Google searches for snow trips, there's been a hotspot in Collingwood and definitely a hotspot in Richmond at the moment. Ross Bartlett, absolute superstar, 1992, East Keeler, premiership, back pocket player. He's asking me if he can use Melbourne's ski gear, and I'm happy for you to use my snow gear, mate. Plenty. I've got like every year. How many do you need? Like, I've got multitudes of ski gear ready for you, Roscoe, all the way from kids to adult. You name it, I've got it. Just no need to go to Anaconda. Go to Anapepta. Got it all for you. Alrighty.
Who's your three?
My 3 votes has to go to St Kilda. For everything that they promised, they had a great win against the Doggies at the end of last year. They go and recruit. Brad Crouch comes into the mix. Higgins comes into the mix. You think they're going to take that next step. They've had losses of 75 points, 86 points, 54 points, 111 points. They look at like a team deflated of confidence, deflated of skill. They've gone way, way, way too early on trying to bring in recycled players. I don't think that has actually worked. Mm-hmm. And you look at the other team that they beat in the final last year has gone through the stratosphere, sitting on top of the ladder, only lost one game for the year. They've gone completely backwards. When I was one of them, well, I think we both picked them to fit into our 8 at the end of the year. I think they might have been top 4 the way they were sitting. It's just really disappointing, and we'll get on to them. Like, what do they do? Where do they go to from here? I know we've got some St Kilda supporters on here saying Ratton can't coach. I don't believe that. I think it's a confidence thing. I think that they've been drinking their own bathwater for too long. I don't know what's going on down there. But St Kilda, you're hurting a lot of people.
I heard or read in the media this week that they believe that the recruiting over the last couple of years has put St Kilda back 10 years. Do you think that's accurate?
Well, it has, because you look at all the recycled players that they've brought in over the last number. Like Jones can't get on the park, Hanbury can't get on the park, Ryder can get on the park, and he has made a bit of a difference. Higgins hasn't done much. Crouch has just got on the park as well.
And the money and the contract links that these people are on as well. Brad Hill, the contract links, the money
Brad Hill,
on.
like they've tied him up, and he's done nothing. He's a shell of his former self. And the thing is, they won't make the tough call to drop him because he's on the big bucks. I think other clubs will make that big call just to get rid of him. They've got Max King down forward, who looks like he's going to be an absolute star. And they're talking about getting his brother down. If it was his brother, I'd be like, what am I going to St Kilda for?
Yeah.
Sons have got a better future, and he's actually the better one. He kicked 3 on the weekend. Absolute gun. Love Ben King. So there's plenty of things going right. They've just got to retain their players, the Suns. They had a massive crack against Geelong on the weekend. They're going to take a lot from that. Geelong are very, very difficult to beat at their home deck. But what they served up on the weekend, St Kilda, it was Aaron Norton kicked more. They got beaten by Aaron Norton, and everything else was percentage.
Absolutely.
39 scoring shots to 8, J-Dog.
I couldn't believe the score at the end. 111. I could not believe a 111-point defeat.
That was like, you reckon the mouse plague was bad? The mouse plague was the Western Bulldogs midfielders running into St Kilda's backline. That's what it was. It was a plague. Oh, it was out of control. But you know what? I think we need to go. Gold Coast is a holiday destination. Get that on your head. No, that's a fair point there, Buzz. And I'd say Moorabbin Football Club or the Moorabbin St Kilda area would be a recreation facility at the moment because there's no football teams playing out of there. You might as well start cricket season early. Alrighty,
love it.
Let's go and have a look at the. Let's get the votes going, mate. Let's get the votes. Okay, tell us, are you there, Andrew? What'd you say? It's 3 votes time, my friend. How about I kick this one off?
Okay, you go for it.
I've got a couple honourable mentions, first and foremost.
Okay.
First and foremost, honourable mentions. The Indigenous jumpers that they bring out every single year are special. But what I've seen so far this year, they look sensational. West Coast have got the big snake on the front. Melbourne's is, I reckon, the best one that they've ever done. And I really love the fact that clubs get behind this. And it's a massive thing for Sir Doug Nicholls round.
Yeah.
So all the clubs, you're doing an amazing job, and I love the fact that you do that each and every year. So that's the one I want to bring in. Another honourable mention, and if you didn't laugh at this one, good point, Joel, except the one that Port Adelaide stole.
We didn't steal it. Someone stole and gave it to us.
Port Adelaide and stealing go hand in hand, prison bars. The other one I have to do is Harris Andrews on the mark on Friday night, giving a bit of boo and a bit of a wave, etc. That just shows how much of a fast he's standing on the mark rule is. But if you did not laugh at that and go, that's what footy's all about. That's what makes this the greatest game in the world, that someone can take a rule so stupid and just do the old boo and the wave. And when he was waving his arms, he did look like the bloke at the front of the Godfrey store. You know, the blow-up things with the arms?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what he looked like. So, Harris Andrews, you are not just a good fullback, you are an absolute star when it comes to that. All right. My one pointer I have to give is just to the Fremantle Football Club. Great win on the weekend against Sydney. Mind you, throwing Buddy 6 goals. Awesome. But the Essendon kids as well. I've mentioned it before, but the talent in these two teams is sensational. And it makes me laugh, not laugh, but it makes me think about what Hawthorn maybe need to do. They haven't gone back to the draft. And it just goes, if you can get a good draft crop of kids like Essendon have, it can turn things around really quickly for them.
Yep.
and give that club some hope. We all picked them as a bottom 4 team. If a couple of their results had gone better earlier in the season, they could be sitting in the top 8, which I don't think any Essendon supporters would have said it, but nobody else of the other 17 teams would have picked it. And Freo, what a great win over there. Rory Lobb had stepped up. Tabernar's been under a bit of an issue. They even won it without Brayshaw, has probably been their best player for the year so far. Fife finally kicked one straight, let alone it was a pie floater. But it was just good to see those two teams get hard-fought wins because, I couldn't say Essendon's was really hard-fought. It was only 70-odd, but just more the fact that what their kids have lit it up as well too. So it was great to see that. 2 votes. I've got to give it to the Adelaide Crows beating the D's. They didn't just beat the D's by 1 point. They absolutely decimated and planned for us. They know that we like to go through the corridor. They held that up a bit. They didn't leave Lever or May virtually alone or by themselves for the whole game. And the pressure throughout the game by both teams was absolutely sensational. And if you watch that game, regardless of who you barracked for, especially that last quarter, it was just bash and crash. And they said that Melbourne really lost that game, 16 points up with about 8 minutes to go. I think besides that one dicey decision coming through the middle, Adelaide just had nothing to lose. And it just goes to show, Adelaide have always been a tough team to beat in Adelaide. They've beaten 2 top 4 teams over there, and there's not many teams that can actually say they've done that so far this year. So kudos to Adelaide. But I have to throw this last one out to a bloke who is from my team. He's from the D's. He played the 4th highest rated game ever in champion data history. We're talking about Clayton Oliver, the Ginger Ninja, the great number 13. If you watch that second half, you will not see a second half of football where a player has said, "Get on my back, I'm going to drag you across the line." There was sensational, there's exceptional, and then there's a massive gap, and then Clayton Oliver was above all of that. 38 touches, 27 contested, 13 score involvements, 3 goals. It was just a sight for sore eyes. It was him and Petrarca. Well, Petrarca was playing good footy, but Oliver, my goodness, he blew it out. It was one of the best games I've seen, individual games I've seen by a Melbourne player. That it wasn't all fancy free. It was tough, and it was amazing to watch. So, yeah, it was and
220 AFL score points as well, Supercoach points or something like that.
And they ranked it. They said the 11 highest contested possessions games in Melbourne's history. He owns 9 of them.
Jesus.
The other 2 are Jack Viney. So what does that say? When those 2 are playing, they're the Bulls. So you've got to have
terrible Melbourne team.
So, typical Melbourne team, just hard at it, unlike Port Adelaide. Rightio, mate.
Rightio. Mine.
Give me your 3 votes.
Okay. My number 1 vote goes to the Port Adelaide Football Club media team. Just for a bit of a clap back to Dane Swan after he sent a little cheeky text out in the first quarter saying, "Is 1 point good for a quarter of football?" Asking for a lot of friends of mine from South Australia. And at the end, Port Adelaide clapped back with a little handy point. Little cheeky handy point back to Dane Swan's text. I don't mind. I tweet. I don't mind that at all. Very clever. Because how many times have we been in the football and someone kicks a point and you always say, handy point?
A handy point?
Loved
handy
it.
Point.
Loved it, Port Adelaide.
We could have used one more handy point on the weekend.
You guys could have used one, yes. Number 2, Peps, like you, Adelaide. Do you know what I love the most about the Adelaide win, Peps? There's a scene in RoboCop.
Yeah.
And when it's Murphy's having his flashback dream and he's sitting in the chair getting his recharge for the night, and he starts to have those dreams and he starts flashing back to the drive down to his house and then the scene of his kids. So I can just imagine you sitting there on the couch on Saturday night. And first off, we've got 4 minutes to go. Clayton Oliver kicks a goal and you go 2 goals up. And then Darcy Fogarty at 3 minutes kicks a goal. And I can just imagine you sitting there in your RoboCop chair and the first glitch. And you just start to twitch a little bit.
God, not again. No.
And then we obviously go through our umpiring debacle there. A bit of classic media work by Tom Duday this week saying that he was right there for that handball and that's who he was going for. He was the target of the handball. And then at the end, when Taylor Walker flushed the ball, it wasn't going anywhere else other than through the big sticks. And I can just imagine you sitting back on Saturday night, maybe a couple of rums or a couple of bourbons in your hand, full robo-copping in the chair. Just.
I was robo-copping big time. I was actually robo-copping before Tex had kicked it, because I know what Tex is like from 40 plus out. He has the most laconic style, and he ain't going anywhere but the middle, especially this year. So yeah, I was like, it's over. It was over, and then we know what happened at the end.
God, it was so funny. So Adelaide, absolute snaps and claps to that, because I could just imagine you, Peps. You would have been. I reckon you've almost got the kids out of bed to help them make a video and get you in the garage and talk about umpires. And I thought, I'm waiting on Saturday night. I'm waiting. Nothing was coming.
There's nothing coming. And we'll talk about that in a moment, because there was nothing to come. It was a humble win. They played well.
Number 3 for me. I don't mind this. The absolute umpire stitch-up job on Melbourne. Also a classic. It was such a good night. It was such a good night. There was holding ball decisions that went wrong in the last 3 minutes. There was the absolute obvious, deliberate out of bounds. Nail that one 99 out of 100 times. You're going to get done. The poor player who was running back, I think it was Murray, he couldn't go through the point post because it was going to cost it a draw.
Be deliberate. It would be deliberate.
So he just went for a handball to grass, as he called it, and it rolled out. Now, we've seen this before when players kick the ball off the side of their boot and it rolls out 60 metres away, and the umpire calls those deliberate.
Oh.
This could not be any more deliberate, and it was such a stitch up, because once again, I had you in my mind on Saturday, Peps. You would have been almost remote through the TV.
Well, I've already broken one TV with a remote going through it. This was very close to remote going through it. Mind you, it was the older TV I was on, so I could have used a new 85-incher.
It would have been 10 zip, Peps. 10 zip.
It would have been. But you know what, J-Dog? Adelaide played well, and Melbourne weren't playing well all night. They were very...
what a stitch up.
I must admit.
What a stitch up.
It was dodge.
And you guys could still mathematically finish 11th. Like, it's still a chance, people. We can still death ride these Melbourne team out of the 8. Look at you. You know in your heart of hearts that this absolutely can happen to Melbourne.
Yes, it can. I just hope that someone in the Doggies gets COVID this week and they have to forfeit.
We were robbed right in front of me.
Right in front of me. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, Peps, that game gave me so much joy and ammunition for tonight. I just loved it.
Yeah, well, thanks, mate. No,
Not only umpires, which you absolutely hate, and you just love having a chat about umpires, and then those last 2 goals in the last 3 minutes.
And I actually thought you were a good bloke. By the way, just to let you know, massive announcement, going straight to air. If anybody would like to be the new co-host of the Lace Out podcast, send in a 1 to 2 minute spiel, and I'll go through them during the week, because
that's fine. I'll join
Jamie's.
I'll join the Port Boys.
Oh no! Don't join the Port Boys. Their podcast is good. Don't bring it down. All right, mate. News. A couple other things to come out of the news.
Yes.
All right. Something else that came up was Shai Bolton copped a $20,000 fine for his fracas, for his nightclub fracas a couple of weeks ago. Where he broke his
there was
wrist.
fire.
Lots of smoke, lots of fire, but the AFL will not tell us what they put the fire out with. They're not actually going to be divulging any of the information for their investigation to figure out what actually happened. They're keeping that close to their chests. It's not good, mate.
No, it's not good. But for Richmond, nothing to see here. But for the AFL, they obviously have a bit more integrity. Can't even say that with a straight face.
I can't even say that. You got to laugh when you say that. You got to laugh. What can you do? What can you do if you're the AFL? Oh my goodness! Like I've said, how big must be the junk underneath the carpet?
Absolutely.
The amount of stuff that gets swept under. Unbelievable. But oh well, you know what? It's a thing about football.
That's it. We obviously broadcast live from this wonderful state of Victoria, and at the moment we're all in a bit of a COVID watch. At the moment, could affect some games on the weekend potentially.
Could. So it looks like maybe the Melbourne Doggies game this week will be the first one affected. It's going to be interesting because the Doggies had one of their team go to High Point on Thursday night, which is a danger in itself if you've been down there recently. And he may have got COVID, so that means the whole team has been put into isolation, waiting on the result. That's going to affect their preparations for this week.
Yep.
That's a shame. But
WA
the other thing coming
and the
out of
Bombers?
it, and the other thing coming out of it is that there's ticket sales for the games have also been put on hold for this week, and I think next week as well. So it's going to be an interesting one looking at it. What's going to happen? I don't think that they can move the games because the Doggies would have sold all their corporate packages, etc., for the games, so they're going to have to potentially refund that. We don't know what's going to happen if there's going to be a snap lockdown or anything along those lines. I reckon the game will be played without crowds. That's what I can potentially see happening until there's a bit of a handle on what's going on. But it just goes to show that, this time last week we were talking about the crowds being down. The crowds might be anything because of, decisions being made and things happening in the society.
Yep. And WA Premier Mark McGowan, who's already a tool bag of the highest order, has informed Essendon that it must return a negative COVID-19 test result before being able to exit quarantine when staff arrive in the state on Thursday ahead of their Saturday game against West Coast.
Yeah, that's
so. Once again, other states are just playing it safe.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have any issue with that. They got the right to do that, as we've got the right to.
Got to protect your people.
Stuff up all our contact tracing, etc. And that. So every state's good at one thing, and our state's very good at trying to get a handle on things and not doing a very good job of it.
Peps.
Yes.
Has Bontempelli wrapped up the Brownlow already?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. He's having a sensational season. There is a ginger guy playing for Melbourne at the moment who I reckon's maybe pulled votes out of 7 out of the 10 games so far. I think it's between those two at the moment. Petrarca's played some good games. Hugh McCluggage up there in Brisbane has played some cracking football so far as well too. Doggies have been all good as well. Lib has probably played his best season for a while, so he's due to get a little bit of attention, especially with all his coloured work on his arms. Outside of that, I'm not too sure. Harry McKay will pinch a few votes. Not major because they don't vote for forwards these days and backmen. It's a midfielders award. Yeah. So it's going to be a tough one. But I think Oliver's pulled some votes. Cluggage will have pulled some votes. Petrarca would have pulled some votes. Not in the last couple of weeks, I must admit, but definitely earlier on the first few rounds he was on fire. But the Bond's playing some sensational football at the moment, and you can't go past him as probably the Brownlow favourite. But hey, we're only getting into round 11. It's going to be a massive one. Yeah, it's going to be a massive one. Get your multis on. I actually got James Jordan for the D's for the Rising Star, and I also got Oliver as a Brownlow. I think it's something like 240 to 1 or some stupid amount that I got those two. Had a Peter McKenna on that one.
It's looking good.
Hello, ladies. Dinner's served. Rightio. So there's that. I mentioned quickly about the Saints earlier on, and I was going to have a chat about, what's happened in the last 6 months. And I don't know if it's off field. We know it's definitely on field. But if you have a look at a club, like the Doggies, who have just solidified what they're doing on the park after being beaten by the Saints, who looked like they were rising and the Doggies were going backwards. It's amazing how the turnarounds happened. But I think the thing that they should take some solace out of, and also Hawthorn, is what Essendon did. Essendon finally bit the bullet, get rid of some of their fluff. They've got a good crop of, and they brought in a good crop of young kids. They knew that, all right, we get rid of Saar, we're going to get a pick in for that. We get Danaher, we get another pick in for that. So they were able to use their picks and draft kids into the future, and they've got a good support mechanism. Paris is playing good footy. You know with McGrath, we know with Merritt as well too. So having that core group of kids in the middle helps the younger ones that have come through, and they've done it right, and they're playing some sensational football. I've been a really big negativity type of person when it comes to the Dons for a long, long time. But just what they're serving up at the moment, it's really encouraging. Yeah, they're going to probably have a fall-away game in the next couple of weeks. It usually happens with younger teams. But that is what Hawthorn need to do. They need to bite the bullet and do that. And I think St Kilda need to bite the bullet and do it as well too, because they're not doing anything at the moment. How do you see them?
I I think David King sort of wraps it up perfectly the other night when he was talking about St Kilda and what it looks like, because the numbers are not good. Can I read just quickly what David King said about St Kilda?
Go for it. Go for it.
Cool. So as obviously all football clubs use indicators and numbers, and they get rating on quite a few areas. So he said basically last year finishing in the top part of the ladder to now finishing 4th or looking at 14th at the moment. And he said the core of finals footy has been to win your own ball or win it back. Initially, do they win the footy? Well, they're 8th for clearances, they're 12th for contested possessions. They don't win it at the coal face. But once again, that's okay because neither do Richmond, and they don't do that either. Yes, mate.
J-Dog, rejected. Can you hear that? Can you hear
No.
rejected? You can't hear that.
That's okay.
It's been rejected. Newsflash.
Okay.
Pickett
Rejected.
has been unsuccessful, and his 1 week penalty will stand, which I think is right. He swung the arm. He smacked him.
Yeah.
Insufficient contact. Don't know what you're watching.
Looked like he
If
hit
it
him
was
to me.
insufficient contact, then it definitely wasn't deliberate. So
Yep.
the newsflash is that, yes, Mr. Pickett will not be attending this year's Brownlow, and he will not be playing this week as well. So 2 for 2, but the big one's coming up with Holman, and hopefully we'll have an answer for you within the next 25 minutes.
Very good. So David King went on to say that, Richmond don't do that, and that's okay. They've got other ways. Richmond win it back on intercepts. St Kilda are 15th, and at the ground level, they are 16th. So what happens is the numbers don't arrive, they don't support, and it's all one-out stuff with St Kilda. Forward 50 last year was a strength of theirs. Top 5 in the comp. This year, it's 17th for creating an entry into score. Everything has fallen apart, and I think it's fallen apart because they've played the most selfish brand I've seen, and it's as simple as that. Which, when you look at their recruiting for the past couple of years, you can't argue that those players individually are not brilliant players on their own rights.
No, there's no rock star amongst them.
Do they work as a unit?
Well, I don't think that they do. They are a team of, and I hate using the word champions. They're not champions, but they're a team of good players that have been brought in on reputations, and they're not playing as a team at all.
Yep.
And you'll have a look at the Essendon crop, who've got a lot less kids, a lot less brand names on the park. They're playing really solid football at the moment. Freo are playing some solid football at the moment. Adelaide were tipped to be finishing second last.
Yep.
They're playing some good football. They've got a lot of no-names out there at the moment. Sydney got a bunch of kids. They're playing well at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, it doesn't matter who is on the park. It doesn't matter how good the teams look on Thursday night when they get delivered. It's what happens on the actual field between the 120 minutes that they're running around for. And St Kilda are just not bringing it at all.
Last year they were 4th for attack. This year they're 17th and 18th in the last couple of weeks. They've gone from being a top 8 defense team last year to 17 this year. Like it's a complete flip. It is a complete flip on all aspects of their games. The pressure has dropped right off now to where they're 17th, 18th. It's all over the ground. Last year they were a top 6 team in a lot of those key statistics. This year it is 17th, 18th, 16th across the board.
Mate, they're averaging 31 disposals less a game. They're averaging 7.5 marks less a game. They're averaging almost 4.5 goals a game less.
Yep, less.
They've got one of the best ruckmen in the world. Best ruckman. They're actually out rucking, or getting more hit outs than their opposition. So they're in the positive with that. The goals against, they're scoring less. They're scoring less than they're scoring 4 goals a game less than they were than their opponents, and having 3 goals kicked again. It's a 7-goal turnaround in most games. And if you have a look, that's what's happening. They're letting 3 more goals through a game, and not kicking 4 more. They're not kicking as many as the opposition as well.
Yeah.
So it's like a 7 goal turnaround.
Yeah.
Against any opposition that they've played and that's on average this year.
I know. And round 10 this year, round 10 just gone, they played the 3rd oldest list with only 3 players under the age of 22. So they're not even blooding in the young players. They have bought the successes we've started to see some hate to say this word, but green shoots from Essendon and green shoots from Sydney's and the Adelaides, and starting to bring some players in. But St Kilda just aren't. They're not blooding young players. So they've got these old players who they refuse to drop because they're on mega coin, and they're not bringing through the younger players. The 18, the 19s, the 20-year-olds. They're playing super old players still. So
it's not going to work. You have to bring the kids. You have to bring the kids in.
They're treading water. You're not going to make finals at this stage. It doesn't look anywhere near it. So you may as well start to see who is there, and then come trade time at the end of the year, chuck up some big names, put some bait out there, get rid of some players. Maybe don't go as harsh.
Who's got trade value out at them?
There would be players out there that
there
could
wouldn't be many that you would have trade value. Jack Steele, they're not going to trade their captain. King, they're not going to get rid of him because he's basically signed up again.
Correct.
They haven't got much because they've gone and used all that currency to bring everybody in. Jack Billings, maybe, but you wouldn't get much for him.
The problem is why, but I know it's one of those things, but you can't just say, well, we can't trade anyone then. There'll be someone out there as a club who can say, we can turn this around, we can turn that player into that, or that person fits a need for us.
True, and I hear that. But I see St Kilda being in a bit of pain. I reckon they're in more pain than Hawthorn. Hawthorn have got a couple of players that can do some currency.
Yeah, true, but I reckon Hawthorn are in the same sort of boat.
Hawthorn in the same spot, but Hawthorn haven't gone down the rebuild or the top-ups. St Kilda have. Okay? And as Buzz says, loyal St Kilda supporter, you're only as good as your last game. 111 reasons why you weren't that good, Buzz. But they are going through a hell of a lot. You know, even if we float on that, like they're talking about Collingwood, we've spoken about this guy for the last 3 weeks. Jordan De Goey, Jordan De Gooey, Jordan De Gropey, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
It comes out that, you know what, maybe his work ethic isn't there. Maybe he needs to be shifted. That's a perfect player that you might be able to get a high second round draft pick for because the potential's there. Could you imagine slotting him into an Essendon or slotting him into, I reckon, a Freo, slotting him into an Adelaide next to Tex? There's plenty that slotting him in next to. Actually, I'd take him in. I'd put him in and get rid of Melksham, but I think his price ticket's too high. He wants $850 a year. He's not getting $850 a year the way he's playing at the moment. Okay, so there's a lot of things there that need to be worked out with St Kilda. If you like I said, compare last year to this year, it is completely apples and oranges. And unfortunately, these oranges are really sour.
I like Buzz's comment there. They are one game out of the 8, but talk to us about talk about your losses. Talk about how that's happened for you. Not good. 111 points.
Buzz, I want to put this in perspective, mate. The only teams that have a worse percentage than you at the moment is North Melbourne. You might be one game out, but you're at 3 games out by percentage. Okay?
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
So they're in a bit of trouble. All right. Hey, that brings me on to something else that we started a couple of weeks ago, and it has gone gangbusters. Has been a bit of splash, cha-ching, 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 splashing the cash. Time to splash some cash. Contract news. Beautiful contract news to come in. Oh, tell you what. If you're a Western Bulldog supporter right now and you're loving the season, you are going to love the date of the 25th of May, 2021. Because the great man, the antipasto superstar himself.
I need to reinforce my pants.
The Bont, Marcus Bontempelli, the greatest European name to ever play AFL football, except for Vin Contoggio and Alex Marcoux, has been signed on for another 4 years. That is, look, he wasn't going anywhere, but you've got him. It's an exciting contract for him. So it's really, really, really. What have I got? Contact news. Yeah, it's contact news. Contact pen to paper. Buzz. Just give me a minute there. Sorry, Nick. Yeah, contract news. All right. So yes, contract news. The other one, which sort of slid under the radar a little bit. Don't know if you saw this one, but a certain individual of the three-headed snake, the three-headed dragon over there in Perth for the West Coast Eagles. Oscar Allen has been signed up. He's got another 3 years over there as well too. So they've got that young fella in, and he is absolutely gorgeous. So it's great to see him getting a beautiful contract over there. Kennedy's on his last leg, so you got this guy who can play down forward, play down back. He's a gun, and so good on for West Coast there. Couple that have sort of floated to mind. We mentioned this bloke a little bit earlier. Jordan Nagoa yet to sign with the Pies. Don't know what's going on there. Don't think he's got much currency at the moment or what he wants. And another one which is sort of sprung up, which is, mate, I think he's a little bit of Daryl Kerrigan telling you dreaming stuff. Jake Stringer hasn't come to contract agreement with Essendon just yet. Apparently he wants something like 4 years, 3 to 4 years on a contract.
What is he now? 31? 30?
What?
I think
28?
he's 30s.
28?
Okay, so
You
32.
wouldn't give him more than 2. Just with his history of form, but also his history with injuries as well. That would be a mistake for Essendon to sign him up. He's not that... Look, there's other people that you need to be paying the cash to before Jake Stringer.
Yep.
So, how long's a piece of Jake Stringer? Definitely not 4 years. 2 at the most. 1 and highly incentivized, I reckon. So, could be there.
Yep.
I have something to announce, everybody. Strap yourselves in because you can win yourself a full box of AFL footy cards. I'm talking 36 packets. One big, massive box of AFL team coach cards. I'm giving them away. We'll be drawing it and announced on the 21st of June. 15th of June is when we'll be announcing it. So 3 weeks away. There'll be a link in the description, in the show notes. Make sure if you want to win 36 packets of the things that you used to tear open as a kid, playing flicks, going swaps, absolutely stunning. You can win. I've got the pack. It's still in the wrapping. So I want to thank AFL Team Coach Cards for giving us that pack so we can give that away to our loyal listeners. So I'll leave a link in the description. You don't have to actually do anything. You don't have to write anything. You just have to, give us a like and give us a share. And you know what? You got a massive chance to get in there. So you got to be in it to win it. And it's how you want your footy cards. Lace out 36 packs. How beautiful is that? Flicks.
I love it.
I love it. Rightio. J-Dog.
Yes.
We're heading into this week. It's going to be round 11. So it's time to go 1 week at a time. What is the game or games you're getting massively excited for? Listeners, leave a comment in the chat. Leave a comment on our Facebook page. What is the game you're getting massively excited for this weekend? Because there are a few bumpers.
Well, barring the obvious one that's going to happen on Friday night, which is the Western Bulldogs Melbourne game, that's still probably the game of the round that I'm looking forward to the most. But I'm going to pick something different here. I'm going to go for the Giants versus the Lions on Saturday. The reason why I'm picking that one there is because the Giants have started to play some better football.
Oh, have they, Jamie? Have they?
Better.
Have they?
They have, surprisingly. But I want to see how they go against one of the premier clubs this season up at their home deck. So Brisbane Lions have won what now in a row? 6 in a row now or something like that?
6 in a row, yep.
I want to see them. I want to see the Giants take on the Lions because it's a tough assignment up there and I want to see where they're really at, the Giants.
Yeah. No, that's a great pick, that one, big fella. So I've actually got a couple and I'm not going to mention 1v2 because I'm actually quite scared about that game. To be honest, Salem's going to be back for the D's, which is a massive one, and Treloar being out helps. But I think just the doggies on that home deck, I just don't know I just don't know what to expect, to be honest. But outside of that, because that's an obvious one, there's a couple of games here that are a little bit like last week, where interesting where this might go. St Kilda versus North, 4:35 Saturday afternoon, I think it is. Yeah, Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Obvious reasons. Could North pull their second win out of the season?
Oh.
Hopefully so.
Huge on the line for St Kilda. Huge amount on the line for St Kilda.
Oh, massive, massive. On the same night, 7:40 p.m, the Suns versus the Hawks.
Okay.
Because if the Suns lose that, then the Jungle Drums are going to really be beating. It's an interesting stat about the Suns. They brought up this on radio the other night. Do you know the Gold Coast Suns have won only around about, I think it's 33 or 35 games after May?
Wow.
In their 10 years in the AFL. So they start the year off gangbusters, and then once it hits the end of May, they win on average 3 games for the rest of the season.
It's because it's a waste of AFL money.
Good stat. It's a good stat. Okay. And the other one, which will be interesting, like you said, the flat track bullies, West Coast versus Essendon. Will this be Essendon's
60-point win to West Coast?
Will
That's
it be
what they do.
Or will will it be the fizzer game, or will Essendon surprise us? I don't know. It's going to be a big one. They might not even play due to COVID, but yeah, I think there's going to be some interesting games, especially once again the low. We were speaking about this last year with Lee Mack. We haven't seen him for a while, but we were talking about the drive to survive in the Formula One, etc., and how he had more excitement what's happening at the back of the field than what's happening at the front of the field.
Yeah,
this is a little bit like this at the moment. Like, we know what's happening at the top of the ladder, but it's these little in-play games that are happening, like with North and St Kilda and the Suns and Hawks. They're really interesting just to sort of see what's happening with futures, etc. So they're getting me a little bit excited at the moment, because you know that games at the top of the ladder are going to be high quality. It is a bit of the life as a box of chocolate side of things with these games, and that's what's getting me excited about footy at the moment.
Beautiful. Love it.
Hey,
all right,
J-Dog, you know what time for
Yes.
now it is. It's your bad boy. It's your pet. And we know it's the listener question. So I'm going to hand this one over to you, because we had a bit of an influx in responses this afternoon when we gave them a reminder of the show. So it's over to you, J-Dog.
All right, we have Peter Titsavaris. Is that how you pronounce it? What's his name?
Peter Titsavaris played his 300th game for the East Keilor Football Club on the weekend. PDT,
man.
Absolute gun, multiple premiership player. Taught him everything I know. Gun.
Excellent. All right. Peter jumps on the espresso martinis as a change-up, which I don't rate. I don't rate people who do espresso martinis, because not only do you hold the barman up for about 20 minutes making your one shit cocktail, you hold me back from having my beer. All I want is a tap beer. That annoys the shit out of me.
Everything I said about Pete, I take it back. He's still a good bloke, but shit bloke for doing that.
All right. Donna, beer only when I'm drunk. Filippo said, start Scotch, end Scotch. Just a solid drinker right through. Ryan Noonan, bourbon. And then he's got lots of comments saying anything you get your hands onto, really. We've got Ross Garlick said CC dry or cider. Lee Moss. Lee Moss is a legend. He's going down my route. Lee Moss has said the old illusion shaker. Don't mind the illusions.
Doesn't surprise me. I can see you ordering an illusion shaker in the MCC when we go and have our game at the end of the year.
Now I'm just going to go find the other one as well.
Okay, well, while you're doing that,
yes.
Whilst you're looking that up, just a quick thing. With the listener survey, thank you for everybody who provided your feedback. It was absolutely sensational. Plenty of great comments to come out of it, so we'll be introducing a couple of those tweaks throughout the upcoming weeks as well too. So if you haven't had a chance, too bad, too sad, you missed out. We gave you 3 weeks. So, for everyone who got on it, we gave you 3 weeks. Like, how many times we have to prop? We plugged it about 8 times. So for everybody who filled it in, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
JD McNair has said whiskey and soda. Josh Weymouth, Philemane Josh, said has to be the Snowballs, CC and dry, which is a really good change. Corey Vandertuck, another espresso martini drinker here. Jared Hodgetts definitely is writing checks that his body can't cash. He said here that he just gets on the slab, moves on to the next slab after finishing one. So he says he changes his brand of beer, but that's it. Ducktronic said Baileys and milk to finish the night. That is a heavy finish to a night.
That's a heavy. What does he do that like with a cravat on?
I don't know, but geez, that's
You
a
do that
rough.
with a cravat and a highball glass and
Look, I can see it. I see the
presses
appeal.
his
It's just all the other alcohol, and then to put milk on top of all of that, just is a bit of a cement mixer for me. Ross Garlick, CC dry or cider, so he's commented there. So very, very good comments there from everyone. So thank you all for getting involved.
I love the listener question, Jamie. I love it. That was better. It was better than this is soup a meal or a soup cereal question. That
All
that
right.
could get a game for St Kilda, that question.
What my listener question this week, Peps, and look,
Yep.
because we are live, we've got a couple of minutes. We can workshop this. But my next listener question for this week is, I want the listeners out there for their question is, what goes in the burger with the lot? I want us to build the ultimate burger with the lot.
Oh, jeez. You've gone hard.
Because,
hey, by the way, sorry.
Yes. No, you go.
You didn't actually tell us what your change-up drink is.
Oh, okay. So every year I go through a change-up drink. So I change up my change-up drink every year to keep it fresh. So I've gone down the CC route. I've done all of that. Last year it was raspberry vodka, so going on a classic fruit beer, cruiser. I don't mind the old cruiser change-up. That was pretty good last year. That was good. I really enjoyed that. This year, though, I'm going down the Maduri Illusions as my change-up drink. I'm going down that route this year. Because, you know what? Drink different.
Fair enough.
And I wish they still had the Maduri Illusion shakers you could still get. Because it has to glow under the lights. Remember, if you're on the dance floor with Maduri Illusion shaker, you were like the boss, ultimate
and
boss.
And even better when you had your white G-banger underneath your pants and it would just slide through your pants. It was just the best.
Memories.
And that was just the guys. Anyway,
Yes. So Peps,
the
question. What's yours? Start with the beer, end with the bourbon. That's
bourbon
it.
and Coke.
Does it get stronger as the night gets
maybe
on?
a CC and lemonade if we're really getting like.
CC and lemonade. Okay, I like that. I'm going to write that one down.
Yeah, you give that one a crack. It's good.
I've never had that one.
The burger with a lot. Oh, geez, how big do we want to go? And keep it realistic too. Like no crap in it. It's got to be a legit burger with a lot.
No, bloody gold flaked steak and shit like that.
No salt in this one.
I want you to create the ultimate, because for me, a burger in the lot, the best burgers of the lot are the ones from the fish and chip shops.
Oh,
so I want you to rebuild me.
Diner Parade.
I want you to build me a burger with the lot. So what is the ultimate burger? What does your local fish and chip shop burger with the lot have in it? That's the question.
Yeah,
what does your local fish and chip shop burger have?
Tag if you can, tag them in the Facebook page too, so people can just actually go there and get the directions to try your burger, regardless of around the world, because we're worldwide with this podcast. So hamburgers with the lot overseas, tell us what your go-to burger with the lot is.
What does your local do? What does your local do?
And because fast food chains do not
have
count.
Pineapple. No, some have pineapple. Some don't have pineapple. Some do bacon. Some don't do bacon. Some do 2 patties. Some do only 1 patty. So what is it? Tell us what is your local fish and chip burger with a lot. What's the ingredients? And let's build a burger.
Let's build a burger. Let's build a better burger.
Call me on. Oh, here we go. Couple coming through. Oh, there we go. You got some locals there. Very good.
Oh, geez. Go EK locals. EK all the way.
Nick, call me on Australian, but I do not like burger. I do not like beetroot.
Nick just got a 1 week ban. Nick, 1 week ban.
So I'll put that question up straight after the show. Get on there. Tell us your favourite burger with the lot joint, your local joint, and then what is their burger on the lot? What is involved in it?
Yeah.
And then let's build one.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Hey, beautiful show tonight, buddy. Huge show. Lots we've covered. So, like I said, we haven't got a response. We are shattered. We were hoping to get a result on the Holman case. Has not come in. Basically, they've said there's no slinging action, there's no spinning, no second, no excessive force, no pushing into the ground. It was just a tackle. That's all it was. So if this happens and he continually gets weeks, we could be in protest not having a podcast next week.
Is that our own choice, or is that what our listeners don't want us to put a podcast up next week? Facebook
bit of both. We're going on a hunger strike. We're going on a hunger strike, meaning that no one will respond to the listener question. Hey, look, it's been a cracking night again. For everybody on the chat, thank you very much. We love you every single week jumping on. Everybody listening to this, like I said, our numbers this year have been through the roof. Do us a favour, get on the contest, win yourself a pack of footy cards, all right? And more importantly, get on iTunes and leave us a review. We would love for you to do that. And you know what? Here's another challenge. Send someone, just anybody. Every year, the Royal Children's Hospital have Give That They May Grow. You need to do hashtag listen to this podcast show, Lace Out. Send that to somebody. Send them a link to Lace Out and tell them this is the one that you need to listen to because we are simply the single greatest non-AFL club affiliated podcast out there, this side of the Westgate Bridge. So from me, Chris Pepper, from my co-host, Jamie Wallace, have a fantastic week. And as we always do, we just simply finish it off with the great man. Jamie Wallace, how do you want your footy?
Peps, I want it lace out.
Have a great week, everybody. Get on it. Have a great week and good luck to your team. Hope they win on the weekend.
See you, listeners.